Hello, I'm John Bachman. Welcome back. 11 Americans dead, 3 million barrels of oil flooding the Gulf Coast. 87 days of uncertainty. That, of course, is some of the stats surrounding the BP oil spill. And now on the 5th anniversary of that disaster, hard work is still being done to make the Gulf Coast whole again. Colin Omar, President and CEO of the National Wildlife Federation, sat down with J.D. Hayworth to discuss just that.
I think there are some things that are improving, but wildlife is still suffering 5 years later. There's been reports coming out that dolphins are dying at 4 times the rate in this area that I am right here. This is Barataria Bay in Louisiana. We're still seeing impacts on Kemp's Ridley sea turtles. A range of species are still suffering. So as much as the cleanup did help bring some things back, we still have a long way to go in the Gulf.
Collins, I understand it, BP, along with federal and state officials, just announced tentative approval of an additional $134 million in restoration projects. I understand BP already set aside $1 billion, that's billion with a B, but even with that kind of spending, is it just too little too late in your estimation?
Yeah, so the billion they set aside is for some early penalties and some early kind of agreements that were reached. They're actually facing a $13.7 billion judgment right now in Louisiana. There's a court case for fines under the Federal Clean Water Act. The judge found them grossly negligent, and basically, if they find them responsible for the 134 million gallons that flew into the Gulf, they could pay up to $13 billion in fine. At that scale, you could begin to have the type of restoration that the Gulf needs.
And since you're the president and CEO of the National Wildlife Federation, what is your role in the cleanup, Colin?
So we help make sure that we're working with a lot of the state agencies right now to make sure restoration projects make sense for the Gulf. We're also collecting a lot of the scientific data, making sure we're sharing it with the public. The federal agencies right now are actually in the damage assessment, so there's not a whole lot of information coming out from the federal agencies. But we want to make sure that every dollar is spent on restoration in a way that helps improve the commercial waterman's economy here, the tourism economy, and brings back the Gulf to an amazing, really just vibrant ecological paradise that it has been for so many years.
Yeah, Miranda, we know the tourism's come back pretty strong, but as Colin mentioned there, the fishing and other environmental aspects of that economy are going to be important, and we won't know really for a long time until what the real impact is going to be.
It's so gut-wrenching to see that, because I lived in Louisiana, and so I know how imperative it is that their water is clean, and they're still dealing with the consequences of that spill.
Yep. 5 years later, so we'll keep our attention on that. Let's turn our attention now to our personal impact segment, where Miranda's going to tug on your heartstrings a little bit. Go. Try to lighten things up.
I'll do my best. Our first story is for all of you social media lovers out there, especially those of you who just love Twitter. Now you can tweet for a good cause. 2 companies, The Good Agency and #Pay, have teamed up to make giving to charities easy using the hashtag Donate. Seems pretty simple. All you have to do is create and register a hashtag for your charity of choice. Then you tweet out the message to all of your followers and ask for donations. The Good Agency plans to expand the program to other social media platforms. Pretty cool, huh? And while we're talking about social media, UNICEF teams up with Snapchat to bring awareness to African children who have been affected by the terror group Boko Haram. Snapchat artists and UNICEF members are working together to create images based off of drawings from children living in West and Central Africa. A UNICEF manager says members help the children work through trauma that they've experienced.
And Miranda, the band Foo Fighters turned to an independent record store into a concert venue over the weekend. This is all part of Record Store Day, and a great story here. The band took over a strip mall in the hometown of Dave Grohl, Warren, Ohio, playing for about 150 fans. The store's owner, Jeff Burke, says it was the greatest day of his life. Many fans who waited overnight to snag those tickets, according to the local paper there, said they felt the same way. The band's guitarist and singer, Dave Grohl, gave one lucky fan a guitar pick, and Amy Roniak said she can't afford the cost of most concert tickets nowadays, so she went to get them online. And then she heard about the concert and actually got to see him in her hometown
I love it when they do
as
that.
well. I saw an interview with Dave Grohl. He said, you know, we were going to play in Los Angeles somewhere, and then we said, the idea of this is go to these small record stores, and no better place than to go to your hometown. Of course, this all happening because of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame inductions over the weekend. Ringo Starr and Green Day. He was there, I guess, to honor Joan Jett, who was also inducted there in Cleveland. And Warren, Ohio is, I guess, close enough, and Dave Grohl playing there. So what a thrill. And that fan hit the nail on the head there. Concert tickets are so expensive nowadays.
They're ridiculous.
To go see a guy like the Foo Fighters in those arenas, it costs hundreds of dollars, but his hometown got to see him for free.
You rock. You rock.
So hats off to you, Dave Grohl.
Coming up in our health segment, trying to shed that extra layer you gained over the winter months, what key foods may help you lose the weight faster and keep it off longer? And did you get a flu